Welcome to the Eat Your Content podcast. I'm your host, Rich Herrera. Thank you for pushing play on my little podcast. I appreciate that. Just a reminder to follow me on socials at Rich Herrera and at Eat Your Content on any social media platform that you may be on. And also like and follow and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts so you'll know when new things are coming out. Today on Eat Your Content, I'm excited to welcome Chef Elisa Lyew of Elisa's Love Bites. Elisa builds gluten-free desserts that don't feel like compromise, and when she's not baking, she's crafting food for film and TV. Chef Elisa, welcome. So good to have you on the pod today.
Thank you. I'm very excited to be here.
So I'm interested to learn how a baker became kind of one of the go-to people for making what do you call it, culinary prop stylist? Is
Yeah,
that
I guess
the
because
term?
yeah, I guess so. What I do is so specific that I don't know if there's like a term for it, but I call myself a culinary prop stylist. So it's a
Interesting.
little more involved than a food stylist because a food stylist kind of makes food for images and not so much for props for production. So that's what I do.
That's
So I'm
fun.
like, okay, I think I am a food stylist, but I'm also like doing props. So I'm more like a culinary prop stylist.
Yeah, it's kind of a merge between a prop master on the movie set and a food stylist
Right.
for, print and magazines. So,
Exactly.
uh,
So I work directly under the prop masters. So, I'm kind of part of the props team, but I'm also the chef on set. So it's very, very specific.
yeah. But let's back up a little bit. So I want to jump back in time when when you first started out on this journey. You were born in Panama. You moved to New
Yes.
York for
Hmm.
school.
Yeah.
Are there any particular food memories from growing up that kind of stuck with you that you kind of look back on and go, yeah, I think that's why I'm in the business that I'm in.
So, I didn't realize, but at the time, growing up, everything in my family was surrounded by food. Like every occasion, like, every outing, like everything was always about food. Like when we got together, it was to eat. When we went out together, it was to eat. When it was like a celebration, there was always food. And my maternal grandparents, they had a farm. So I grew up visiting the farm all the time. So I know what goes into like raising cattle and like, growing crops and all these things that go into the food that we eat. So I always had an interest and a love for that part of the food side. But at the time, I had no idea I was going to end up doing any of this. So it was like, okay, like, making food is really cool and I like doing it. So I do that when I want to do something fun. I never, never, ever thought I would be doing food full time.
Yeah, and kind of going down that vein, when you did end up going to school, you actually studied theater and media
Yes.
before becoming a pastry chef. So you're talking about, yeah, I like cooking as a hobby. I don't think I want to do that for my job, but here we are, doing it
Yeah,
kind of
so
for
I
a
thought I was
job.
like,
But you
oh, maybe
started in
like I
theater and
can go.
media.
Exactly. So I was like, oh, because like that's the other thing. So when I was little, I was always like dancing and like playing music and like doing things and like going to dance class and like recitals and like shows and things. So I was always very artistic. So that's what I decided that I wanted to study because I knew I didn't want to have like a job like an office like a square office
A
job.
nine to
I'm like I
five
don't want to do
cubicle.
yeah no I don't want to do that. So I was always very artistic. And then the food was always something I loved, but I didn't think I wanted to do it for work because I felt like I would hate it if I had to do it all the time. So for me, it made more sense to go into the theater stuff. And then my mom was like, well, you can't just study theater because then what are you going to do if acting doesn't work out? Like, you're going to be a teacher? No, because I hate teaching. I could never be a teacher. I was a TA in college and I know I would hate teaching. So, no. So then she's like, well, you have to study something else. So you have something else to fall back on. And then my school, I went to Fordham University. So my school also had a very good media program which goes into like things like editing and like writing, production, and like all that stuff. So I felt like that would be a good complement to my other major. So I major in those two things.
So if you weren't doing what you're doing now, being a culinary prop stylist and a baker, what was the goal going into theater and media? What when you were in school, you're like, okay, when I get out of school, I want to do this.
So initially I was like, oh, I want to be an actor because that's what I was doing. Like I did a bunch of plays growing up and like shows and like I was always writing things. So that's what I really wanted to do when I started college. I was like, okay, I'm gonna get really good at this. I'm gonna be a professional actor and blah blah blah. And then I realized, like, the reality of it is you have to audition for things, and maybe you'll get like a little bit part here, like a little small non-paying part here, and like a little background role here before you ever get anything even close to like a living wage as an actor. And
Yeah. So
it's like me being in New York, it's like I'm like, New York is expensive. Like, I want to make a living. I want to do something I can actually like make money at. And then you encounter all these like the dark side of the entertainment industry. Like, there's a lot of creepy men, and you have to like play the game if you want to get the good roles. And I was like, yeah, I don't want to do any of that. So then, eventually that led to, it's not a straight line, but that led to me working in restaurants and then realizing, oh, hey, the food thing was always here and I really like doing this. So I think I'm going to stay here. I'm going to do this and forget about entertainment. Like, I don't want to do any of that stuff anymore. I want to be here where I can like make something and people can see my talent right away. And I can be taken a little more seriously than with that other stuff that I wanted to do initially. So that's how I ended up working as a chef, even though I thought I didn't want to. I loved it, so I ended up doing that. And then years and years down the road, entertainment found me anyway and grabbed me and and threw me back in. And now I do both at the same time.
yeah, so it's kind of that cliche of being a working actor, working in the service industry on the side while
Yeah.
trying to hustle and get auditions and all that, and then you realize, you know what? This love of food that kind of lay dormant in my life is has kind of been reignited. And then you ended up becoming an entrepreneur and starting Elisa's Love Bite. So I want to jump
Yeah.
into that for a little bit. How did that come about? So you're working in restaurants, you're an employee, and then you
Yes.
decided, you know what, I want to work for myself. I want to make cookies, and there's a particular market that I see a gap in. So where was the moment as you were kind of, working from paycheck to paycheck? You're like, I want to do this. I want to launch my own cookie company.
So I felt like I had grown as much as I could as a pastry chef. It's like, hey, like, somebody made me executive pastry chef. Then what else am I gonna do? Like, the only thing I could do was start my own business and then keep growing on my own. And then also there was the part where it's like, oh, we're feeding people a lot of garbage. Like, when people eat desserts, it's usually like not that good for them. It's like it's very fattening, it's very unhealthy and this and that. And I have like a healthy overall lifestyle, like, with a little alcohol here and there, but overall I'm pretty healthy. And
Who
I
among
I
us?
have aside from a little alcohol here and there, I'm very healthy and I like to work out, I like to eat well, and I also have a sweet tooth. So I'm always trying to look for ways to, satisfy that sweet tooth, but with healthy ingredients. So I could never find the kind of desserts that I was looking for, so I started making them myself. And I figured there are other people who are probably looking for the same thing. So that's when I started kind of like building my business plan. And then I started doing it on the side while I was still a pastry chef at a restaurant. And then eventually I got it to a point where I was like, okay, I think I need to do this and stop working for other people.
Yeah. And so your bakery, like you're saying, you couldn't find healthy, healthy desserts. So you
Hmm.
decided to kind of fill that gap. And so your bakery focuses on gluten-free, low refined sugar desserts. And that those are a little bit more difficult to try to make. So what makes creating those types of baked goods challenging, especially from a mail order standpoint? And then, but what makes it fun?
So, the challenge isn't fun because if it were easy, everyone would do it and there's no fun in that. But for me, it's like, okay, like I believe in this stuff. Like, I don't want to put anything in my body that's going to make me sick down the road. So I know there's a way to do this. It's just like it costs more money and it takes a little more time and we have to be more creative with your process. It's not the same as like baking or any or regular cookie or cake. And not a lot of people want to make that investment. Like, if you're focused on making money and making a big profit, you're going to use the cheaper ingredients. And that's what most bakeries do. So I decided, like, okay, like, how can I do this in a way that I can still be profitable, but bring this product to people like me who want something a little healthier that they can feel good about, and that's not going to make them sick down the road. So, you know, as a pastry chef. Like, I'm in the kitchen all day. I'm always trying to like come up with recipes. So it's just a matter of like thinking a little different and switching the ingredients that I was using and coming up with things that tasted good and were better for you. And once I felt good enough, that's when I started looking for spaces and like started like, coming up with like all the things that I needed to do to actually open a physical bakery.
Yeah. So walk me through one of your best sellers. Like how long does it take to make and how many failures did you have before you came to this one that turned this particular flavor that turned into a bestseller?
So my bestseller was always the banging chocolate chip cookies. So when I first started, I was like, I want to make my own favorite chocolate chip cookie because every time I go somewhere, it's either too crunchy or too sugary or too big, or they use milk chocolate or they use like fake chocolate. I'm like, I want a dark chocolate chip cookie that's satisfying, that's not super sweet, that's not too crunchy, not too chewy, and that just like tastes a little better than what's out there, and something that I can have more of more frequently without feeling bad about it. So I was like, okay, how do I make this happen? And how do I make it gluten free, not sweeten it with refined sugar, like find a chocolate that's also not made with refined sugar, but it's also like good ingredients. So there's a lot of parts.
Yeah.
But I'm really good at putting parts together. So once I found all the suppliers that I needed for flours, for sweeteners, for chocolate, for like all the other things that I needed, then I was like, okay, let's do this. So there were a few tries, like, the first couple ones, they were like, okay, it's good, but I feel like it's missing something. And then I got like a light bulb moment. I was like, oh, I think it needs a little bit of salt, like finishing salt. And then that's when I came with the idea of the salt flakes that they have on top, and that was it. I was like, "Okay, it needed just, like, the salt flakes to balance all the flavors and bring them in together and just give it that little, like, salt to, like, kinda counteract the sweetness of it and balance it so it's not super sweet, but you just taste pure chocolate and, like, buttery, nutty." And I'm like, "Okay, this is my cookie." That when I had that, that's when I knew I had it.
Yeah. And you were so kind enough to send me a batch of the
Yeah, I
bangin'
never show
chocolate
up
chip.
empty-handed, just so you know. That's why
So
people like me. I never ever show up empty-handed.
yeah, you were so kind to send me these, and you sent me about a half dozen,
Yeah.
and I wanted to eat them all in one go, but I saved one for the podcast today. So while I'm unboxing this, because we're gonna try it live right now, tell me a little bit about when you launched this business and this particular cookie, and your philosophy behind making these kinds of desserts. Um, Tell me maybe your favorite review that you read, or maybe a customer that reached out to you specifically and said, "Man, you really made me love desserts again." Because maybe for a health reason they couldn't eat certain desserts, but because of your uh, healthy take on it and all the organic and healthy ingredients you use, they're able to enjoy desserts again. Is there a favorite customer review or email that comes to mind? And in the meantime, I'm going to unbox this.
Okay. So yeah, while you eat. So I had actually quite a few people with celiac disease tell me it's like, "Oh my God, I can never go anywhere." Like if I go to a bakery, it's usually like, they have one option. It's usually like a flourless chocolate cake that everyone has. And it's very basic and like whatever. And, when people tell me it's like, this cookie is so good and it's gluten free and it's sugar free and it's this and that. And I can have it without like worrying about like getting sick. Like that, when people told me that, it's like, okay, that's why I'm doing this. It's not just for me. Like there are people out there who need this. So I'm going to keep doing it.
Yeah, and I'm reading the back of the ingredient list and everything says organic. Like that's the first
Hmm.
word that comes with every
Right.
ingredient. There's no long chemical names on here.
No,
It's
that was
it's
very
all
important to me.
yeah, it's all organic and words that I can not have to look up in a dictionary. And you also have, fair trade ingredients in here, which is very
Yes.
important. That means everybody fair trade. If you're not familiar, that means everybody in the supply chain gets paid a fair wage. Does that make your cookie a little bit more on the expensive side? Yes, but you know that the
Yes.
people making it behind the scenes are being treated fairly, and it's not some 6-year-old out in the field, getting harvesting
Right.
chocolate in some, third world country. So I got the cookie opened. And if you're listening to the audio version of this, I apologize because these are very delicious looking cookies. Look at that. You were talking about the salt flakes. They're right there
Yeah.
visible on the cookie. My first impression, these are very soft. I was
Hmm.
surprised. I thought they'd be like a crispier cookie, but they're very soft and kind of like a cake-like texture, which I love. I'm a big fan of softer cookies. Like I buy the soft baked cookies. I like crunchy cookies. I love all cookies. I'm not going to say no to a cookie, but I'm partial to soft bake. So I found these to be very pleasant. So I'm going to eat one right now, and I'm going to give you my immediate thoughts. So again, if you're listening to this, I apologize for the chewing sounds I'm about to make.
Yeah, so I wanted to make, like I said, my own favorite cookie, and I don't like crunchy cookies because I feel like it's not the same. Like it's not it doesn't have like I don't know, like I want something soft and gooey and chocolatey. And I wanted to make my own, especially when you buy something that's prepackaged. They're usually kind of like dry and crunchy. So it was very important to me before, we're able to do something that we can package and sell on store shelves, that we can keep the recipe soft when people buy it, weeks and months later. It's still going to be soft, and we're not using any crazy ingredients to make that happen.
Right, right. Not a whole long list of like preservatives or anything.
No.
These are really good. And I'm not
Thank
saying that
you.
because you're a guest on the podcast. I would tell you if it needed work. But these are good. The salt flakes on the top, just like you were saying, it's that missing piece that
Yes.
you didn't know you needed until you ate one. And I the way I ate the cookie, it was top down on my tongue first, where the salt is, because you see that. Let me show you. See, you can see the salt if you're watching this. You can see the salt flakes. So I put it salt flake down, and it just brought everything together, and salt just enhances the flavor of everything that it's in. So it just makes the chocolate taste more chocolatey. It doesn't taste like a salty
Exactly.
cookie. It's not a salty cookie. It's a cookie with finishing salt on it that just makes everything taste better.
Right, because
Um,
like salt kind of opens up your palate, and makes you like taste all the flavors like that much better. That's why we put salt in our food.
yeah,
And it doesn't matter if it's a savory or a sweet food, it's gonna have the same effect. Obviously, we're using very little, so we're not making it salty,
right.
but it's gonna, make you like taste all those flavors like all the better.
Yeah,
And yeah, that was like the finishing touch that I needed when I was first coming up with the recipe. And that when I had that, I knew that was it.
great cookie,
Thank
great
you.
cookie. What other flavors do you sell?
Well, so it's gonna be, you know, we haven't talked about this, but we're launching nationwide very, very soon. So we're gonna
Oh,
have these in stores all over the country. So we're gonna launch with one cookie, and later down the line, we're gonna add more items as we go. But because
okay.
this is such a popular cookie, we wanted to launch with this one only. And if people haven't heard about us before, like I want them to get to know us with this cookie. That's our, my best first impression that I can give you is this cookie. So
Yeah,
that's what I want to do. And then, once we're in the market, then we'll start thinking about adding more things down the line.
understood, understood. Yeah, it's a great, great cookie. And we'll talk more about where people can get them. But I want to make a shift now,
Yes.
because we talked about the food, and I'm also a lot about pop culture on my podcast.
Hmm.
And the reason why I have you on, because not just because of the great cookie, but you have some an interesting, I don't know, side gig, if you want to call it,
I guess
uh,
so. Yeah.
a little bit. You are a culinary food stylist for Hollywood movies and TV shows. How did that happen? So we talked about your left turn from theater and media to bakery, and then you kind of make this full circle moment of being a pastry chef back into kind of the other love of your life, movies and TV. How did that come? How did that happen? That's interesting.
I know, like it's kind of crazy because I decided at one point that I was not going to do that, and then it grabbed me anyway, and I was like, "No, you're going to do this, even if you said no, you're going to do this." So I got a call from a show, and the show's not on the air anymore. The show was Madam Secretary, which used to be on CBS, and I think it's on Netflix now if anybody wants to watch it. So it was season 3, and the main actress Taya Leone, she needed some pastries for a scene. And Taya is gluten free. She doesn't need any sugar, like any unhealthy ingredients, which is exactly what my specialty is. So that's how they found me. And they were like, "Oh, we need some pastries for a scene. Like, can you make this?" I was like, "Yeah, absolutely." And so I made some pastries. It was supposed to be just for one scene for one episode. and they really liked it and they like working with me. So they started calling me for more episodes, like more things. And then before I knew it, I was making all the food for all the episodes. And I stayed with them for 4 seasons until the show ended. And then after that, the prop master that worked on that show, he went on to do a bunch of other stuff and he took me everywhere he went. And from that, like a bunch of other prop masters started hiring me for other things. So from that one show, I ended up doing a bunch of shows and movies because what I do is it's so specific that people like can't really find a lot of people who do what I do, which is healthy food, gluten-free, sugar-free, because a lot of these actors are on special diets and they're very restricted diets, especially if if it's somebody who has to like maintain a certain level of fitness for the screen, they can't eat anything outside of their special diet. So they need somebody who can cook and bake whatever they need. Even if on the screen it's supposed to be like, like a pizza or a bagel or a donut, it has to be made with ingredients that the actor can have. So not a lot of people know how to do that and then also work in entertainment and like work on a set and like how to behave on a set and like meet the crazy time requirements like the last minute. Hey, we need something for 6 in the morning tomorrow. Can you make it? And you always have to be able to say yes. Like even if it's impossible or very difficult, you have to be kind of a magician and just be very flexible. And I know all these things because I have a degree in this stuff and I did work in the industry earlier on. So I can do it. So, people like working with me and so they keep calling me for different shows and different movies. And I've been doing that now for 8 years. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, what other shows that have you worked on and scenes that people may know or people may have seen, and not known that it was you, but maybe saw a scene, or what scene have you been known for, or what food were you known for? Maybe even inside the industry is like, oh, I want to make sure the person whoever made that is on all these TV shows that I'm going to be working on. Is there any kind of neat stories like that, or what shows have you been on that people might recognize?
So, for example, a lot of feedback came from something I made for Fallout season one. So I'm not working on season two because they're filming in LA, so it's a whole new crew. So basically, none of the people who worked on season one are on season two, because now they're in California. So, but season one of Fallout, I made everything, like all the different things that were edible, even the grows, like dead animals. Like I made all of that. But there was one thing, it was a jello cake that was in one episode that, like, people were making tutorials and they were, like, trying to, like, recreate it at home, and just to let you know, it was very difficult to make, it took a lot of tries to get it, the way that it was supposed to look and do what it was supposed to do, and still be edible and still not fall apart, and still be, like, what it needed to be on the screen, and also make a bunch of them because when you do food for TV, you have to have multiples because you need it for continuity, has to look the same, have to do a bunch of takes. So yeah, the jello cake from season 1 of Fallout, that was the thing that kind of have the most buzz, I would say.
The most viral thing that came out because it
Yeah,
was a popular show.
it
Um,
was, yes.
so that Jello cake must have had some significant screen time to
Oh
to
yeah.
to make people go, "Oh, that looks good."
Yeah, so it was crazy. So we had a concept artist who, kind of like created these like and it was a sci-fi show, so it's obviously not based on anywhere near reality. It was very, very sci-fi. So we had a concept artist who drew all these crazy things and then I had to make them. So it was very challenging and it was my first sci-fi job. So it was fun. I mean, it required a lot of sleepless nights and creativity, but I really loved the team that I work with on Fallout. The props team was top notch, and I love what I did and how it came together and how it looked on screen. And I can say I have something in every episode of season one. So it was very fun to watch because I was like, oh, I made that, I made that, I made that
Did you have watch parties at your house and go, "Hey, that was mine. That was mine. That was
too.
mine."
No, I actually, because I didn't know how much, because in the editing room, sometimes like things get cut. So I know I made a bunch of stuff, but I didn't know how much was gonna end up actually in the final cut. So I didn't want to tell people like, hey, let's watch it. And then like maybe it wasn't there anymore. So
So,
I
have you
watched on
ever
my own
Yeah,
and I was like,
yeah,
oh, there's like a lot of stuff that I made all over
that's
the
great.
place.
That's
And there was
great.
one scene in, I think it was episode 1, there's a wedding, and I made a wedding cake, and the wedding got raided, spoiler alert. And somebody just like grabbed a piece of the cake and threw it on the ground. I was like, that is so rude. Like I spent hours making that cake.
It's like I know it's in the script, but damn, man.
Like I know, but it's still so rude because it was like all real. Because like for some other shows, I've made like styrofoam, like fake cakes. That was like all real, top to bottom, hours and hours and hours. But
Oh,
yeah, but it's kind of funny to see that like all
yeah.
come together, and like people who watch at home have no idea that there's so many of us who have like these like very specific jobs to bring a movie or a show together, and you'll never know who we are, but you'll see our work.
Yeah. Has there ever been something that you made on a TV show or a movie, and when they had to eat it on camera and the director yelled cut, did the actor like turn to you or something, go, "Damn, that was really good," and then like kind of wanted to know more?
Well, yeah. So for Madam Secretary, so for one scene, they were baking sourdough in a scene. So I had to like make sourdough bread that was gluten free and like healthy and like all the requirements, the usual stuff that I do. And they liked it so much that they started like putting bread in like random scenes for no reason, just so they could have more of the bread. And then the two main actors, which like order bread from me like outside of the show all the time, so I had to like go to their apartments with like big bags of bread all the time.
Oh, that's funny. So that's funny.
Yeah.
That's great though. I mean, because like you were saying, these actors, because you think of food stylists, and the main difference, I think, food styling for print versus what you do is food styling for print is, you can use non-edible ingredients in the
Yeah.
thing to make it look good. But for you, you still have to make it look good and edible and taste good with the right ingredients for the actor to be able to eat all on camera all at
And
the
it
same
also has
time.
to be safe because on shoots it's long days. So it's like it has to be sitting out there for hours and hours. So it also can be anything that's like perishable that's going to go bad if it's outside, not refrigerated, because people still have to eat it. And maybe it's a cake or like whatever it is, like it has to sit out there for a long time. So it has to be something that's safe to be at room temperature for a long time and not get, too damaged because it has to be, there. It has to work. So it's like something like ice cream that melts. Like that's kind of difficult. So you have to have like a lot of backup, like ready to go to switch it out, make sure it looks good on camera, make sure we have a bunch of them because there's gonna be a bunch of takes. So there's a lot of logistics that go into it besides like making food.
Yeah, and I'm sure you picked up a lot of clients along the way,
Yes.
of having to make that because they've had to eat your food on set, and they're like, "You know what? I need this in my diet on a daily
I
basis."
know,
So,
yeah, 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 definitely. So I'm not gonna name names because, like, I
sure,
like my clients and I keep them private. But
of
yeah, I do
course.
have some actors that have ordered stuff from me after, the show ends because they just want to keep eating what I make. And for me, like that's the biggest compliment.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So for us regular Joes out here that like maybe taking pictures of our food before we eat at a restaurant, or we're home cooks and we like taking pictures and post them on Instagram. What are some practical tips that you can give somebody at home with the things that they have on hand to make that picture of a cake or a cookie or their plate of food really pop?
Well, I would say colors are good. So like if you have like something that's like beige or like, white or whatever, you use like color plates because that's always going to make your images pop. So color like your background or your plates or if you have like a colored napkin or things like that, like props, again, props are very important. So make sure you have like something that's going to make it pop. Sometimes the food itself isn't, all that, but the way you frame it is going to make a good picture.
Nice.
So
Nice.
yeah, colors and make sure make sure you don't overdo it with the props either because then you're not going to know where to look. If you have too much stuff going on, your eye doesn't know where to go. So make sure you keep it focused, keep the food the focus, but make sure you have a good frame around it. So that's what props
Gotcha.
are supposed to do. They're supposed to frame the subject, not overwhelm the viewer's eye.
So
Yeah.
as we're finishing up the episode here, I want to give you the last few minutes and we'll roll out the red carpet for you. Just let people know where they can find you. These cookies are fantastic, so I'm sure people are going to want to know how to order them. And just give a little time to promote what you got going on and any projects that people need to know about.
Yeah, so you can follow me on Instagram. That's the easiest way. Also, our cookies are gonna hit store shelves very, very soon. So we're hoping by the end of the year we're gonna roll it out. So right now we are not in any stores, but behind the scenes we're working very hard to make that happen very soon. And you got to try some of them, so you know what they look like, and so look out for the pink and the black box very, very soon with my face on it.
Is it going to be this on store shelves, just like a bigger version of
So
it?
yeah, so it's gonna yeah, so you got the VIP sample version. So it's gonna be a little bigger when you see it in store. It's gonna be a 6 pack.
Nice, nice. All right.
And yeah, so look out for the bright pink black box very, very soon. It's happening. I'm working on it behind the scenes very hard. It's happening, it's coming along. And I'm very excited that people all over the country are gonna be able to have my cookies instead of having to, come to New York and get them. So I'm super
Are you
excited
allowed
about
to
that.
name stores yet, or is that
Not
all
yet. So
tight
yeah, not
wraps?
yet. Not
Okay.
yet.
Okay.
Because we're still, dotting the I's and crossing the T's and like signing the things. So it's happening.
Understood.
But yeah, once
Understood.
we're actually physically on the shelves, you'll know. And elisaslabbites.com, that's the website for my company. So that's where we're gonna have all that information once it's ready to go.
Okay. And you mentioned Instagram. What's the Instagram handle?
Yeah, so my Instagram is at Chef Elisa Lyew, and the company is at Elisa's Love Bites. And you can find us there. And also, like I said, elisaslovebites.com. That's where we're going to have all the, purchasing information. You can buy directly on the website once we're up and running. And also, we'll let you know which stores are carrying it if you just want to go to your local stores.
Awesome. Awesome. Can't wait to get these in the stores so that I can eat more of these. These are great. I mean, again, just delicious cookies. If you find them on the store shelves soon, definitely buy a pack because these are fantastic.
And on the TV side, there's a new show called The Savant on Apple TV that's coming out. So you can see a bunch of stuff that I made on that show as well.
Oh, cool. Any hints on what it was that you did make? Are we looking for
So
cookies? Are we
there
looking
like
for
a lot of stuff. So for example, there was like a donut scene where they had to look like they were from Dunkin' Donuts, but they had to be vegan and healthy and all of that. So
ah?
I made some special custom donuts. So they look like they're from Dunkin', but they're from me.
So it's
And
going to
they're
be a
way
Dunkin'
better.
box.
Yeah, exactly. So it's gonna be a Dunkin' box situation, but they're way better than Dunkin', and I made them.
Dunkin's getting all the ad placement.
Sorry, Dunkin'. Yeah.
They're gonna go to Dunkin' and go, I want these donuts. Like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. We don't make those. That's funny.
I'm like, yeah,
Cool.
I want the vegan donuts from that show. But yeah, obviously, in the episode they're not vegan, but I think the whole cast was vegan, so I had to make like a vegan wedding cake and a vegan this and a vegan that. So yeah, you'll see all of that on screen, but they're not gonna say it was like special or whatever. Like it's gonna
Right.
look like any old food,
Yeah. So pretty
and
much
that's my talent.
anything.
I make special food look like any old food.
Yeah. So basically anything edible on that show is probably your hands have been
Yep,
on it at some
yep.
point. So excellent. That's fantastic. Well, congratulations on all the success. And good luck on the launch of the cookies. Good luck on the
Thank
TV
you.
show that's coming out. Hope it gets a lot of viewers. It'll be what was it called a Savant on Apple TV
Yeah,
Plus.
Apple TV.
All
Yes.
right, Apple TV, Savant. Look, we'll be looking for that one. Just a reminder: follow me on socials at Rich Herrera and at Eat Your Content, and make sure to like and subscribe anywhere you get your podcast. Chef Elisa, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Rich. It was so much fun.
Thanks for listening to Eat Your Content. If you like what you hear, please consider supporting the podcast through my merch store on TeePublic. Get great quality items like t-shirts, hats, mugs, and more, all sporting the vibrant Eat Your Content logo. Go to teepublic.com/user/eatyourcontent for more great items, and thanks for your support.